Long ago, in a distant land, Warner Brothers decided to reboot The Dark Knight after Batman and Robin. But a foolish director named George Clooney chose no. So they got Christopher Nolan to reboot The Dark Knight.
But yes, we are going to be reviewing the first of the Dark Knight trilogy, Batman Begins, which doesn't even have the Dark Knight words in it.
And it's personally my favorite of this trilogy, if you ask me.
Yes, and I believe that Christopher Nolan did not like calling it Batman Begins.
Ironically enough.
So let's get to the chase. It starts off with young Bruce Wayne, who's also playing with his neighborhood friend Rachel, until he literally falls down a well in which he encounters all bats.
You know, this scene's been redone so many times you could turn almost anything into that.
And of course his father was just trying to tell him that it was just the bats that were more scared of him, and because he was bats and whatever. And of course, because his father was part of Wayne Enterprises, he shows some of the building from a monorail. And as you know, the classic Batman origin,
they asked to leave, and
he goes to a theater with his parents, he has to leave, and eventually some guy comes and shoots both of his parents because of his robbery.
And then the Gotham series takes place from this point onward.
Of course it does. Anyway, so we fast forward in time where it's Christian Bale. Yes, this is Bruce Wayne, played by Christian Bale, is in a prison. But unfortunately, he has a lot of rough fights because this son of a bitch just tries to start a fight with him.
Of course, and also, thanks to the sponsors of Konami, get the latest Yu-Gi-Oh cards. Anyway, so Bale gets into a fight with a bunch of other prison work guards, and basically, now take him away to another prison cell.
And of course, this is where he meets Ra's al Ghul.
Ra's al Ghul,
who is played by Liam Neeson. And of course,
it's going to reprise his role in Arrow.
Anyway, so he leaves to find a way to fight injustice, and he comes across this, I guess it would be the temple of some sort.
Yeah, and basically in turn, so the two of them then start to, train.
Well, if you're wondering, Ra's al Ghul is basically trying to train Bruce Wayne on how to be a very good fighter, because he knows enough to fight injustice.
Yeah, and so basically in turn, this entire movie in the first half is a lot like Arrow Season 3.
Oh, and by the way, fun fact.
Yeah, basically in turn, see that ice that they're training on? Yeah, well, believe it or not, after they were done filming that ice was actually completely melted.
Yeah, they were just lucky that it didn't crack right when they were filming. And another method of training, he basically uses a bunch of ninjas to disguise, and so Batman basically gets Ra's al Ghul.
I would prefer calling him Bruce Wayne at the moment, but anyway, so he meets the head of the assassin.
And begins to start a fire because he didn't want to execute the person, and so he gets picked up by Alfred by his private jet because he has his Bruce Wayne.
Yeah, and basically in turn, Alfred is just glad to see Bruce Wayne alive again since he's been gone since he was a teenager. Anyway, so as time goes on, he realizes, that some douche actually owns Wayne Enterprises at the moment.
Yeah, and there's all these crimes going on, and we'll talk about that. Here's the next view of Enterprises. This is the tower. And then that's when we get to meet the mob boss. This is Falcone, who's been...
Suddenly it's just between the Godfather.
Well, not really. The thing is, this guy's been handling a bunch of drugs in and out through the city because, he's the biggest criminal in the city at this point. And of course, he meets up with Lucius Fox, who's played by Morgan Freeman.
Legendary actor. And no, not Morgan from North Park, but seriously though, let's just face it, guys, and ladies, any movie with Morgan Freeman in it is automatically better.
It's just great. Yeah, Morgan Freeman is playing Lucius Fox, and apparently he allows Bruce Wayne to take all the high gadgets and whatever.
The way he views it, this is all his stuff technically, because it's literally Wayne Enterprises, Bruce Wayne. Anyway, so he goes into his first suit, which is just weird, yes.
And so he discovers that Batcave that he fell into when he was a child, and he wants to turn it into a drone in space. And of course, the entire place is full of giant-ass waterfall with freaking out, so you just have the entire thing.
And this is where the movie starts to believe it or not go downhill a bit for me.
Well, it's really because you see, in comparison to all the other Batman movies up to this point, you got 66, you got the 89, Wonder Woman, Forever, and Robin, and then there's also Master of Phantasm and the sequels. This one in particular didn't really feel like a Batman movie that has come before or after. It just really felt like this interesting story. But in turns, after this point, it starts to just feel like another Batman movie. And in turns with this story, with Ra's al Ghul, just trying to get Batman to take his place, it's still an interesting storyline. But the moment that suit comes on, it's it just feels like another type of Dark Knight movie. But
yeah,
it's just it's saying more the first half of this movie was just unbelievably good. It felt like both a movie and a comic at the same time, but the second half just, feels like a traditional comic book movie. But
Right.
but I'm not dissing the second half. The second half is still good, but it's just like that first half is just so amazing that it just undermines the second half of it. It's one of those situations where it's just
Right.
like the first half is better than the second. But yeah, that's really what I have to feel about that.
Yes, and he also makes his own Batsuit, which is that,
And it is pretty nice if you ask me.
and of course he wants his own car.
Okay, seriously, that is not the Batmobile, that's the Tumbler. Not the side Tumbler, that's another thing altogether. Anyway, so basically, Luscious Fox, is showing Bruce Wayne all the weapons.
And of course, he just wants it in black instead. And yes, this is how it looks like in black, and I will admit, it's just nice. I like this thing to be used as the Batmobile.
Yeah, anyway, so in terms, now he finally dons the real suits, and basically, in turns, actually kicks some people's butts.
And of course, his news and stories is going all around the city, and he's just acting like, oh, it's just very nice.
Yeah, and basically, in turns, this sparks the attention of, well, a certain character.
A corrupt psychiatrist named Jonathan Crane, and we'll tell you who this is if you have not seen this movie.
Anyway, so basically, in
He
turns...
works with Rachel, and she's basically always asking him about Falcone and stuff. And when they found him, he's basically right on this signal, which forms a very bat kind of shape into the sky. And so he's basically questioned by Jonathan himself, and so he just uses one of his methods, which is, yes, that Scarecrow mask.
Yeah, and here's my rant on this. Here's my problem with this movie. The Scarecrow. Not the character, not exactly the mask, but the fact that, well, it's just a mask. Look at those two from Batman the Animated Series, for example, and you could show that the Scarecrow's meant to be this full thing. And I mean, in both versions, in seasons 1, 2, 3, and season 4, on how basically in terms the Scarecrow actually does look kind of scary. Here, immediately it's a jump scare, but after that, it's nothing. You could just rip that thing off and basically...
I mean, yeah, it's just a guy in a suit, and with
yeah,
his mask
and that's
on.
not how it was in the comics like that.
In fact, I'll do it now. Watch. Scare me. See? Not hard at all.
That was really late. Crane's men end up kidnapping Rachel, and that's only because they want to put that drug hallucinogen that he uses to, scare all of his victims into
And,
the Gotham City water supply.
And Arrowler took that for a while for the first season.
Anyway, when Batman tries it on Scarecrow himself, Scarecrow literally sees this in his eyes.
Okay, that thing is scary.
Anyway, he has to save Rachel, so he comes up with an antidote and takes her to his Batcave.
Yeah, and basically in turns, well, he saves her life for now, and basically in turns, time to have a party for that.
And basically they're all honoring Bruce Wayne, and he's giving a lot of thanks to Rachel, and someone decides to drop by.
And hello there, Rachel Ghoul. How you been, man?
But unfortunately, he starts conflict with Bruce Wayne as he actually starts a fire in his giant mansion, causing
Even though
everybody
he's-
to get out.
Even though he saved his life earlier, so that's a little weird. I don't know, maybe he's just mad his home got burned down.
And Alfred rescues him anyway. But Ra's al Ghul wants to take the microwave emitter, which will make all the water and stuff go into the air for that psychedelic thing for the Scarecrow's thing. And he puts it on the monorail, which is the monorail is heading all the way to the Gotham City water supply, which is running on. And of course, Batman reveals to Rachel that he is actually, Batman. Bruce Wayne tells her that I'm Batman. And so he evades the monorail and tries to have a fight with Ra's al Ghul about it.
And anyway, so basically now we have a fight scene on a train that has been in a lot of comic book
And
movies.
Commissioner Gordon gets to try out the tumbler for once because he really likes it. And of course, the monorail actually gets split into half.
Else, all we need is get Spider-Man to pull them back together.
And it was because Commissioner Gordon rammed some of the bridge trusses, and then he ended up trying to get it out. And so Batman fights him, but he ends up leaving him in there as the monorail crashes, and he gets being put as the Commissioner of Police.
Anyway, and then he gets, well, honored a bit, but so
And
now when
he
they get
installs
ready...
a bat signal.
So, whenever they need him, he'll be there.
And of course, that ends the
Anyway,
movie.
A
so...
brief overview of the movie, and yes, Kyle's with us.
Okay, special guest star Kyle? I don't know. Anyway, so personally, even though despite my complaints, I do really enjoy this movie. This is still my favorite of the Dark Knight trilogy, and yeah, I prefer this over the Dark Knight. I don't know why people always skip this one. And this is still my...
Yeah, and like, a lot of people don't usually talk about this movie.
Yeah, which is dumb if you ask me, because personally, I think this is actually not only the best Dark Knight movie, but the best live-action adaptation of Batman, period. This really...
It really tackles the origin very well.
And it goes deep into it, and not only that, it goes literally deep into, well, basically, like on how he was being trained by Ra's al Ghul, and basically it shows really on how that, well, Christopher Nolan actually did his homework on the character.
Right.
And basically, in turns, it really shows. This movie is just really good. A lot of the actors are really good, except one thing, and it's
What's
not
that?
Bale himself.
Well, come on. The deep voice isn't that bad.
Here, it's not. It's tolerable here, but it gets worse as this film series goes on. But I have to point it out here. Here, it's just a little annoying, but it's just like as it gets down the road, it gets worse.
Especially in The Dark Knight Rises.
Don't get me started on that one. Ironic considering Tom Hardy was
I
just
think
cast
this
as Venom.
movie was really good.
I
I really
agree.
like the acting, I really like the special effects, and I really like how they really tackled the origin and the way they would just do it. It's basically as if they took something from the comics and really put it out in a nice action movie.
And this movie, and basically in turns, this movie basically was really just that good in general. Then it basically in turns that it did eventually spawn off into Gotham, and that Arrow basically was heavily influenced by the entire Dark Knight series in general.
I believe
but
Gotham tackles the origin,
It's the entire-
but mostly just about his life as a young Bruce Wayne.
yeah, basically the first episode is literally the origin story, and then the rest of the series is like leading up to when he actually does become Batman, kind of like how Smallville did with Superman.
Right.
Yeah, and
But
basically.
yeah, this movie was just a really good movie, and I would agree with him when he said that it's his favorite out of the Dark Knight trilogy. It's really good. I really do like it a lot.
Yeah, in turns, this is just a really good movie, and the acting is really solid, and I do just generally like the story. I mean, despite my rants on a bit on basically the Scarecrow and a bit of Bale, and those are, well, actually, even though I went on a rant, those are actually nitpicks for me. Because in terms in general, when I first saw this movie, I was blown away. This movie was really dominated a bit, and basically in terms this definitely shows why people did like the Dark Knight trilogy so much that when basically the DCEU got started, people were still wanting Bale back for it. And considering Christopher Nolan was an executive producer on Man of Steel for a while, it did hint at it.
Right.
And that's another story.
Oh boy.
When we get to Affleck,
But yeah,
I do like him too.
Right, he's a good Batman. But we'll get to that in another review. Anyway, thanks for enjoying, and
Yeah, I give this movie like 9.7 out of 10. It's a really good movie. It's
it's in the nines. It's in the nines.
yeah, it's just a solid Batman movie, and just a solid movie in general. Because, like I said, even just a moviegoer who did not see the comic, who did not read the comics, or
Would you say it's the best Batman movie of just the 2000s?
that's a tough one. I guess so. For the most part, I can't really think of any on hand that are better. And I think in terms of just the 2000s, I would probably have to say so. I mean, it's not exactly counting, some of the animated stuff, but because at the time, even though some of them were still good, others not so much, it just depended. I mean, I'm not insulting the DC animated universe. That's really good. I'm not insulting it. I just think that this adaptation was just really just that amazing.
Oh, and I heard for like the Justice League director, I think he lost his daughter.
I'm so sorry, Zack Snyder.
And yeah, Zack Snyder, he's dropped out of the directing the Justice League 2017.
At the time of this
movie.
recording, it's coming up.
Right.
And Josh Whedon's going to take over for post-production.
And so when we get to that review, which will be a
We're
very
gonna-
long time, we're just going to dedicate it to him and his daughter.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Zach. You deserve better. Also, one other thing. Rachel's actress, sorry. How I said during Iron Man and the Incredible Hulk reviews, basically in terms, like I said, when the actors do get replaced. Yeah, Rachel's actor gets replaced as well.
In The Dark Knight.
Yeah, but that's not the director's fault, or...
No, because she was working on another project at the time.
Yeah, which ironically enough was, from what I heard, the most bombed movie of 2008.
Oh boy, is it disaster movie?
No, it's up there though. If it's not number one, it's number 2 in that year. Nothing against the actress herself; she did a really good job in this movie. I do really enjoy her a lot, but I will admit that she should have stayed.
All right, well that's our review on Batman Begins.
Solid flick. Subscribe, comment, and ring that bell.
And share on Facebook, whatever.
Instagram, Twitter,
Who
Tumblr.
cares?
I don't know.
Have a good night, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, have a good night. Enjoy when we tackle
The Dark Knight.
Yeah.